Welcome to In Good Company. We're a bit short on numbers tonight, guys. At the moment, we do have supposedly 4 of us on, but at the moment they must be stuck in the snow somewhere. Although it has actually eased off. But I've got Amos with me anyway. Amos, how are you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, managed to escape the weather.
Yeah, so these other guys pop on. We'll stick them on as and when they appear. So let's go for it. Right, let's start this off. Let's have a look at we'll just have a quick word about the Champions League, mate, before we talk about today's West Ham game. How did you think we did? Were you quite happy with that the other night? Do you think it was a thoroughly deserved victory?
Yeah, it's funny actually. About 30 seconds after PSG scored their goal, I was thinking in my head, well, it didn't matter about the result tonight. You know, both teams go through. It's about it's just finishing in the top 2, and you know, it doesn't really matter who you get in the next round because all the teams are level and whatnot. But as soon as those 2 City goals go in, I was like, I'd take that. This is exactly what we deserve. Much better team, and to be fair, City definitely were. Finishing top of the group is probably that sort of this day and age. Nothing more than sort of like an ego boost, I suppose. But no, it was good to finish top of the group. It was good to get that statement victory over PSG after they did us in Paris. But no, it was nice to get that win.
Well, let me just play with this now because we've got another guy coming on, joining us. There he is, Paul. He's back from the snow. He's back from the snow. Thanks for joining us, Paul. We didn't want to, I'm sure you had other better things to do, mate, than join us tonight.
No. Yeah, I'm just fighting through the traffic in getting to Oldham. It's a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine so. I was just asking Amos then about, obviously, we just started a quick word on the Champions League game. Were you happy with what we did, Amos? Obviously, we topped the group, which should mean overall we should have an easier obviously round of 16 game than actually finishing second. But were you happy with that, Paul, the other night, the Champions League?
Yeah, more than happy. I thought we bossed it start to finish. I mean, the atmosphere was amazing as well, wasn't it? I mean, I think, why can't we have that every week?
Yeah, it wasn't great today, was it? I think everyone was a bit cold today.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's down to the opposition as well, isn't it? You know, if the opposition are up for it as well, the away fans, then it can sometimes have a knock-on effect. But no, on the pitch we totally dominated, completely played him off the park. Messi nullified him. Neymar again. The 3 up front, they were non-existent. We just stopped them getting the ball. It was simple as that. We just dominated.
Yeah, Amos, do you think PSG are one of the best top 6 still in it? I mean, did they look like one of the better or the better teams than that, or are we sort of in a false sense of security that we sort of had an easy game? Are they in the top 6? What do you reckon? What do you reckon rating wise? Are they in the top 4, top 6, top 16? We know they're in that, but what do you think, Amos?
Yeah, it's a strange one. I wouldn't have actually minded getting them in the next round in terms of knockouts. Obviously, that can't happen now because we're in the same group. But I've watched a little bit of them this season in the league, and the league table will tell you that they're X amount of points clear, flying high. I think it's in double figures at the moment. But performance-wise, they've absolutely scraped through games against teams that they should be walking over. Like today, for example, against Saint Etienne, who were winless until I think mid-October. They only got a 3-1 victory. 2 of those goals came really, really late on. So again, City are the better team. City are much better than PSG. We saw that in the first game in Paris. The scoreline didn't show it then, but we finally, like I said before, got the scoreline that reflected City's dominance over them. And if we were to come up against them later on in the competition, I wouldn't be surprised if we made it another couple of wins.
Yeah, I agree. Right, let's get on to what we start on today. Manchester City 2, the Hammers, West Ham United. That's a good
that was terrible.
Dick Van Dyke is better than that, wasn't it? Manchester City 2, West Ham United 1. So let's talk about that. The team, first of all. I'll come to you, Paul. I'm going to look at this team today. I've got a couple of little comments on it, I must admit, when it came out. I mean, it didn't surprise me. I only got one wrong I thought Foden might be fit enough, and obviously he wasn't. But it's Edison, Walker, Diaz, Laporte, Cancelo, Rodri, Gundo, Bernardo, Sterling, Jesus, and Mahrez. Any thoughts from you, Paul, on that lineup? Was it more or less what you thought, allowing for injuries, of course?
Yeah, I thought pretty much it was. I thought it was going to be that sort of side. I didn't know which which side they were going to play the front three about. But no, I think that was a good enough team on paper to get the result. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting for me, Amos, was the bench. I was quite interested with it. We had 2 keepers on the bench, and I did know Pep said in midweek we only fielded 8 subs because we just didn't have we couldn't do the full complement of is it 12 they have in the Champions League, something like that.
Yeah, 12 in the Champions League, 9.
Yeah, so they only put 8 out the other night. So obviously there's a little problem. I mean, our massive squad suddenly looking a little bit threadbare. We had obviously Stefan, Carson, Stones, Aki, Zinchenko, Ferner, Palmer, and McAtee, which is nice to see. But you're a little bit worried about the bench there, Amos. I was a bit, if it wasn't going to go well today, I was a bit worried what we could bring off the bench to alter it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's funny, innit? City have this tag of, unlimited riches, and people presumably look at City's bench on a normal time when there's only 7 subs there, and they're like, well, they could get in any team in the world. But if we're being honest, 1 or 2 injuries, and suddenly you are looking at the likes of 2 goalkeepers on the bench and a couple of youngsters. Traditionally, Pet's always enjoyed having teams that are a sort of a tight-knit group of players to pick from. He's never been a manager who has, say, uses 30 players in a league season. That's never been his sort of way he does things. So I suppose it's inevitable, really, if we have De Bruyne out with COVID, Foden picking up a knock, Grealish picking up a knock. There's 3 players, and then suddenly, it is 8 players on the bench. So I suppose he put the trust in the players on the pitch to get the job done. Like you say, though, if it had been maybe 0-0 with 10 minutes to go, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Cole Palmer would have been the only one, and he's only made 1 Premier League start. So it'd have been, a rude awakening for the lad. But Guardiola trusts the players that City have, and I think today was a perfect example. Bringing Fernandinho off the bench to score what effectively turned out to be the winning goal is another perfect example.
Yeah, well, I'll come back to Fernandinho later. I was less impressed with 2 other things he did, to be honest with you, towards the end of the game. But we might have a mention of him later on. Paul, you're a very keen guy looking out for West Ham. I know that you're always looking for West Ham's results, and you're always looking at their teams and tongue in cheek sort of thing. Their team. I mean, obviously, I try and predict a team every time for the away team. I do better with the away teams than I do with the home teams. You find a lot of these away teams don't have the options we have to switch and change the teams anyway. So I get a little bit closer. But Paul, just reading out the team to you, obviously Fabianski, Johnson, Dawson, Zuma, and forgive my pronunciation if you get any of these guys right. I'm wrong. I can't even do City, so never mind anyone else's. Creswell, Masuaku, Rice, Souček. Is that how you pronounce that one? Yeah. Fornals. Yeah. Ben Rama.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Antonio. There we go. Yeah, so obviously, what do you think about the pronunciations there, Paul? I mean, I think that's more or less. It certainly wasn't the team that played in Vienna. I think they rested about 8 or 9 players from the first team because they looked tired apparently last week against Wolves. The manager said, Mr. Moyes, the football genius, that is the chosen one, said they looked tired against Wolves. So I mean, they shouldn't have been tired, mate, should they? I mean, obviously, most of that team didn't play in midweek. They might have travelled on the plane, but I'm sure they got the feet up. What do you think of that team? Was it, the 4th in the league, Paul? Are they good enough? They should have really been a team to worry us, but I wasn't overly worried, to be honest with you. What were your thoughts?
Again, I mean that was like listening to you pronunciate those the names. It was like watching that guy on the internet doing it. Have to check a minute then. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think they flattered to deceive a little bit West Ham this season. I don't think the 4th and everything, but there's not much sort of below that pressing, is there? I mean, United aren't pushing them too hard, are they? And these the 4th, but I didn't see anything today that we weren't worried at all. I think the first half possession, maybe I think was 73%. We had the ball and we just kept it, and they couldn't get it off us again. I wasn't worried about them at all. I mean, it was to be honest. I mean, the strike they gave us at the end. We're probably going to move on to that later. I think that was the only time that Edison really touched the ball in anger. I think, and that was picking out the back of the net.
Yeah, I think there was
the last kick of the game, wasn't it? So
yeah.
I didn't see a threat from any position, to be honest.
What did you think, Amos? As I say, for a team that's fourth in the league, all right, when we played them in the Carabao Cup, they had a very much changed team as we did, so it didn't tell us anything. But were you a little bit surprised with the certainly how they started the game? I thought, obviously, again we've got Fabianski, who's again gone to the Aston Villa school of wasting time. That goalkeeper waste of time with the other game. Everyone seems to go there nowadays as a keeper. But obviously that first 5 or 10 minutes, I thought. They're not very good, these, mate, are they? Amos, what do you think?
I know they did the favour against Liverpool, didn't they? And then they've thankfully given us our mandatory 3 points at home against them, which I can't complain against. But no, they're a weird one, West Ham, because they've obviously overachieved the last couple of seasons. Even David Moyes will tell you they shouldn't necessarily have been where they are, but they are for whatever reason. They have got good players who are capable of sort of coming out with these results if and when they want to. So it's not really a surprise as we get into the deep months of winter that you start to see them tail off a bit. I know it was much change from the Vienna team, but they're a team that on the day I presume could have given City a game, but it just wasn't the day to day at all. And thankfully, I think something that's a bit strange you see with City, these games that we sort of go, oh no, we could slip up here. For example, PSG or West Ham at home, they're the ones that City seems to sort of win really comfortably without any threats. But it is the Southampton at home now, or the Crystal Palace at home, where we have had problems. So it's a peculiar football team we support, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously as the weather started to deteriorate, didn't start off too bad. But obviously as the snow came down, I mean, obviously we had a couple of chances, didn't we? Obviously had a header from Laporte off the back of his head that sort of glanced the post, didn't it? From a corner. Walker fizzed one past the post, which I was a bit, I thought he could have done slightly better actually, because Fabianski was nowhere on that. But I mean, West Ham attacks, I can't really remember that much. But as the snow came down, Paul, City seemed to get better. I mean, it's another Bally on ice, wasn't it? It was another. I mean, I was there. You guys are far too young, obviously. I mean, I was there in '67 at the old Bally on ice, where they had they actually filed the studs into like sharp ends, so they could play on the pit. Unbelievable stuff, when the linesman checked the studs at half time, he got a gashed hand when he obviously before the second half. But, it was. I was at that one, and City. It was weird because as the game went on, I mean, we'll talk about the goal in a second, but. We just seemed to be knocking it about, Paul, didn't we? As superbly at that time. And take us through the goal, Paul. I mean, it was sort of from nothing, wasn't it? Really. I mean, we have been dominating and knocking at the door. But can you remember the goal, Paul? Can I ask you?
To be honest, yeah.
With a cross ball from Cancelo, didn't it? Was it Cancelo who crossed it?
Yeah,
right
Cancelo.
Out?
Cancelo crossed, and then Jesus, I think it was. With the assist.
Mahrez, wasn't it?
Mahrez. Sorry, I'm on about the second one there, aren't I?
We've got not gone to 90th minute yet, mate. We're still in the 33rd minute.
Sorry.
Stuart, come on.
Stuart, cross the snowman, put it across over there. I mean, to be honest with you, there was a goal before there, wasn't there, which was chalked off, and it was
Mahrez goal, I forgot about
that. Slightly offside. I have seen it, and it was marginally offside, but he's first. It was a great finish, if I'm being honest. We deserved it. Great time to score, and we should have built more from that, to be honest. But it was a great finish from the lad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Gundor, he was my anytime goal scorer for my little charity bet I do. So that was great for him to score that goal. I was dead chuffed. I was thinking, have I got his first goal scorer? I know that was stupid bird. You don't do things like that. I would have been well chuffed then, but there you go. No, he did really well. Amos, I mean, we did. I think did we have another chance? Oh well, yeah, we had one cleared off the line. Talk us through that one.
There's a couple. One, there's the Mahrez hit the post, and then Jesus, I think it was, Young Johnson cleared it off the line, which it was bizarre that last sort of 20 minutes of the half, and just sort of because I was at home today, as I was saying before, I was having to work from home, so I wasn't at the ground today, and just trying to. In that last sort of 20 minutes, I don't know what it was like in the stadium, but just trying to find the ball on the screen was just painful. It was painful. It was horrendous. And then it's going back to that Gundogan goal. like you say, Paul, it was a fantastic finish because just to be able to pick the ball out of the absolute mess. Don't know what it'd been like on the pitch. It'd probably be a bit different, but yeah, that sort of last 20 minutes, you thought, oh, City could definitely have a couple here, and like you say, Johnson clears off the line from Jesus. Really good defending, to be fair, from the young lad, and then Mahrez, who sort of in slow motion decides to take 4 touches in typical fashion and then volley it against the post. But it was a good performance that first 45 minutes, and to have not gone into the break in front, I think would have been a bit unjust. But 1-0 probably a fair reflection. 2-0, no one's complaining. But yeah, decent chances and good defending to prevent them.
Yeah, there's a bit of criticism on Mahrez. I think I think Gundo was in the middle. He could have easily put it, put a tap in, to be honest with you. But that's Mahrez. We know what Mahrez is like. He'll have a go. 1-0 is okay. And as I said, based on the fact of how West Ham played in that first half, we weren't overly worried about the second half. We were perhaps worried about the pitch. I was thinking, well, I know the ball's been fizzing about and been playing really well, but I did worry. But then we had the men of the match come on, didn't we, Paul? We had those guys, doing a wonderful job at half time who Pep said were the men of the match, and I'm not going to argue with that, to be honest with you. I'll ask you guys who the footballing man of the match was, but as far as the men of the match was concerned, I think those groundsmen did a wonderful job, didn't they, Paul?
I could do with getting them down at my workshop and cleaning my forecourt off, because they got rid of that pretty sharpish, didn't they? It was an amazing turning into the second half. I think the undersoil heating though is amazing as well, and it was like I think they turned the temperature up at half time, didn't they? And that helped a bit. So it was amazing. Yeah,
I mean, I know they didn't do a good enough job. They had to delay the start 5 minutes for the second half, and the poor guys. I think the ref wanted to kick off, and they were still at it. I think they tried to kick him off, but the second half was a funny one, wasn't it, Amos? I mean, we got nothing again from West Ham, did we? But I mean, I'm struggling to remember too much. I think there was a couple of certainly a Jesus chance that obviously led to an injury, didn't they, to Creswell? It's obviously, if you talk us through that, and anything else you thought might have been, Amos, interested in that second half. It was up the other end to us. At least the snow had stopped, but there wasn't that much going on, was there?
It's funny that actually about the guys at half time, because obviously this week there was the news that they're looking at extending half time just in every game for half time shows. But I think we saw today, forget your multi-million-pound singers or whatever, just get some groundsmen on with some shovels and you can have all the fun in the world. But yeah, I think probably that was where the entertainment peaked for the second half, to be honest. Edison made a decent save, a sort of rasping Declan Rice shot, which
straight. He sort of fisted it, didn't he? He didn't want to catch it just in case. So he
combination of hand movements to deny him there. But yeah, Jesus, decent block from Cresswell. Obviously, his crown jewel sort of took a knock in and various other parts of his body, so he seems to be down for a while, which on a day like that I don't blame him, to be honest. Surprised he managed to stand up, but no, obviously then just controlling the game, which I thought was something City do so good and was necessary. It didn't need to get into sort of silly end-to-end shootout. Can City get a second goal? Can West Ham get an equaliser? It was just the pitch was clear, the ball was down finally, and it just seemed to be like one of those sort of games where City sort of sticking the steriliser, if you like, and sort of just fast forward to the 80-odd minute when it gets sealed.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to Paul now, because he was very keen to mention this early on. So I'm sure he'll want to tell us about this 90th minute goal. Haven't you, Paul? You can now tell us about that, mate. The 90th minute one. Our one, anyway.
Sorry,
the 90th minute.
Trinky.
Are we?
He's froze.
Are you back?
Sorry, I'm having. I think it's the weather in Oldham. I'm having technical issues. Sorry, we're on about the second goal. Yeah.
The 90th, yes. We know you were keen to have a mention of that one. Go on.
Again, it came from nothing again, really. I mean, to be honest,
on the left, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was, but it's as though they took it into the corner and just like pinging the ball about in training. He took it down into the corner, and it was. I mean, to be honest with you, it looked like it was going nowhere. And typical City, the ball came out. I think it was Jesus put the ball across, and I think he put it out to the box, didn't he? Outside the box, and then Fernandinho basically had a tap-in, really. I'm glad it came to him, because that's the sort of thing that he's accurate with. So anyone else would have maybe tried to go for a bit more more of a fancy TV shot, shall we say? But he just placed it in the corner and banged back of the net, 2-1, and you think the game was over, wouldn't you? To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually obviously just Fabianski didn't even move. He didn't even see. I think there was a defender sort of in the way, and Fabianski didn't even move an inch. He was just stuck in the middle, and it was sort of it just grazed the inside of the post, Amos. Or just
it's an interesting one, wasn't it? Because the sort of when you look at it, you think he's going to cut across it and go to that far corner, but it's a really good finish actually. It's a sort of the finish a striker would do. He sort of goes the opposite way, and Fabianski's there, sort of head in hands, thinking, "What can I do about that?" I'm just glad it didn't fall to Mahrez, because I think the tier 2 lot would have been having to sort of pick it out the roof. We've seen far too often poor Riyadh sort of run onto them, thinking he's going to curl them into top bins, and it's next thing you know, Hospitality's getting a knock at the door. But no, it was a really good finish, and he's probably City's least important, most important player in terms of the minutes he plays, but the job he does, and to sort of come on at the end. It was like someone had just said, like Dad going, right, I'll do it then. I'll do the kids' homework and just get it done. Because before that, it was sort of a bit tedious, wasn't it, trying to find that second goal? And you went, all right, okay, I'll take over from here, boys.
Well, the thing is, I think obviously he brought Ferner on to sort of make sure he didn't really have to kill the game, guys, did he? Because West Ham weren't really offering that much anyway, to be honest with you. But what struck me, I mean, in the space of about the time he was on, he sort of lost the ball on Fernandinho we're talking about. I'll come to you, Paul, if you remember it. He did lose the ball once and we got away with it. And then on the 94th minute, obviously the game's over. The ref's almost really ready to blow his whistle as such. And he sort of chests it up on the edge of the box and just chests it to the West Ham player. And obviously a bit of magic there. But I mean, so in the space of this 8-minute cameo, he'd scored a great goal and he'd give the ball away in critical...
Got an assist.
Critical positions twice, Paul. So I mean, I wouldn't mark him anyway because it wasn't on long enough. But that was shocking, wasn't it, Paul? I mean, a great goal, but shocking play by Ferner. I don't think he should ever play again. What do you think, mate?
No, get rid of him. He's rubbish. It was like pantomime season has come to the Etihad, wasn't it? You know, like all fans shout, "He's behind you," and then he just kind of chested it. He went from hero to villain within the space of sort of like 30 seconds or so. I've watched it back on the TV, and I don't know what he was doing. He kind of chested it and then wafted at it. And then, I mean, I'm not sure what he was called there. Player Jimenez, was it? Have I made that up? No,
Lanzini.
I don't know what that's him.
Yeah,
that's him.
Close.
I thought we call him Mancini, but no, Manzini. Yeah, to be honest with you, it was a cracking finish. And he might have got himself a nomination for goal of the season with that one, but it's just disappointing that you dominate a game so much. And the defence had done so little, to be honest. But what they'd done so well. And then to go and concede a goal like that. And I mean, fortunately, it was the last kick of the game. Because if it had been so like the 89th minute, I'd have been sweating again. I'd have been thinking.
Bernardo just welled it to the corner flag, didn't it? Bernardo just welled it. That was the end of the game. But Amos, let's just talk about that goal, Amos, with Amos here. I'm not so worried. All right, I'm upset for Edison, but I worry about goal difference this season. I'm hoping we can win this division, comfortably. But we know we've been in some goal difference title chases before. I'm a bit all right. Chelsea didn't increase theirs. I didn't obviously today. They didn't increase their goal difference, but we are a little bit behind Chelsea and Liverpool. Amos, I was a bit perturbed for that. A bit frustrated. How can you? I'm not frustrated. We won the game and all well and good, but we've got to look at this goal difference, haven't we, mate? Because we seem to be a lot of games where we're comfortable as well, and we're not. We're just happy for 2 and 3-0. We're not bothering going for the jugular anymore, Amos. Is that a bit of a worry for you going forward as well?
I am, to be honest, frustrated with the conceding the goal. Obviously, the goal itself, you can't really do anything about it apart from the build up and making sure Fernandinho don't try and team up. But I saw a stat as well saying it'd been Edison's 100th clean sheet as a City goalkeeper, so that's got to wait until Wednesday at least. But yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because this seems like the tightest title race for. Probably could even surpass the City Liverpool ones at the moment. It seems every sort of Chelsea, City, Liverpool is so tight, and when you've got a 3-team title race as well, you're not just focusing on one team's results, you're focusing on another one, and obviously that means they can drop points too and whatnot. But I think all City have to make sure they do this season is match the results of the others and where possible better them. So, for example, Liverpool lost their first game to West Ham. We've gained 3 points in that one. Chelsea beat Norwich 7-0. I think we beat them 5-0 in the first home game of the season. So that's near enough the same. And all in all, City have done really well in sort of matching them and then taking points coming from behind at Anfield and then obviously beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So it may well come down to goal difference, and Lanzini with goal of the month may sort of deny City the title. Let's hope not. But at the moment, I'd probably be more sort of making sure that the results come, because it seems like it's going to be one of them seasons that's going to be a slog. I don't think anyone's going to have the name on the title by April at this rate. So sort of just making sure the wins come and games like that, which we all thought were going to be really sort of a difficult one to get the 3 points in. All in all, it seems like a comfortable-ish evening's work.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just looking at the stats, 19 shots for City, 9 on target, 5 for West Ham, 3 on target, 69% possession. Pass accuracy for City, 90%, considering the conditions. Is absolutely stunning, that, to be honest with you guys. 79% for West Ham. Just before I ask you, I'm going to ask you both your sort of City man of the match, apart from the grounds. But also, I did notice, looking at Mr. Brennan's ratings, and I wouldn't have thought it myself, but obviously, he gave Laporte 5 out of 10. Now, he's obviously fighting with Mr. Stones for that back pairing, isn't he, Paul? So what do you think, firstly, on Laporte, and obviously who was your City man of the match?
Yeah, I think that's a bit harsh, to be honest. I mean, to be honest with you, I listened. I saw some of the the marks out of 10 this week in the press for the PSG game, and I don't know what games we were watching, most of them, to be honest. I think they were giving Messi 8 and things like that. I mean, he was lucky to get a 4 in my eyes, to be honest. So it's all subjective. I'm not really that interested in what they come up with, to be honest, because I didn't see Laporte as a 5. You know what I mean? He didn't have much to do, but what he did all right. So how can you give him a 5 based on that? Yeah, it's a tough one between Stones and Laporte. It's a great problem to have, though, isn't it? It's something we've sort of struggled with, and you've got Aki. He's probably the fourth in line, and fifth in line probably. Yeah, fourth in line. So, yeah, I think our strongest pairing at the moment was Stones and Diaz. But that's not, last season. He was unbelievable, Laporte. So, it's a great problem to have, I think. It's great to have 3 world-class central defenders.
Man of the match, City?
You know what? There was nobody. I don't think there was anybody that sort of like stood out as such.
We'll give it the groundsman then. Just leave it. We'll leave it with the groundsman.
Yeah, give the groundsman and Gundogan for his goal. And he was busy in the midfield, wasn't he? So yeah, give it Gundogan.
I was going to shout.
This is a matter of interest as well. Obviously, the same guy who gave Laporte 5, I think he gave Cancelo a 9. I don't know. I thought Cancelo was okay. I don't know where he got a 9 from, though, to be honest with you. No. But Amos, your views, Laporte, your man of the match?
Yeah, it's funny, actually. I think the ratings that journalists give, they're sort of like 1980s invention, really, for the back page reports, aren't they? I think when you've got everyone in the world watching the game, and no one needs to know really how the substitute that came on in the 20th minute did. So I think, and especially when I've worked football matches doing reports, trying to I wouldn't even be able to tell you a rating for half the players, because just keeping up that much is so difficult. So I do think Laporte probably had a harder game than most. He made a couple of errors, but I wouldn't, like Paul said, I wouldn't be overly fussed about it. It's a great problem to have, and probably would have started Stones. He didn't play. He might now play Wednesday. He'll be fresher. So yeah, good man of the match would be Gundogan for me. I think he's probably City's most integral player, even above De Bruyne, in terms of just making that midfield work and providing balance, which for some City fans 3 years ago, I think would have been sort of like crazy sort of thing to say. So it's mad how much he's come along and how much Rodri and Bernardo and those sort of players have come. So yeah, Gundogan for me.
Yeah, I think it was a good team display. As I say, there was only one or two slight weaknesses, but obviously if Laporte was a weakness, I'll take that if Laporte was a weakness today in that team. But if I had to pick one, I think like Amos, I'd probably go for Gundo, the Gundalorian again. There is my man of the match. Right, guys, we've got a game with City at Villa. I'm sure we're due for a good reception there. I'm not sure whether Mr. Grealish will be playing. I doubt it anyway. We don't really know with these guys, Foden, Grealish. It just seems these little knocks seem to drag on and on, which is a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you. But Paul, we play Aston Villa on Wednesday night. I don't want any mentions of slip-up, so I'll get that in now before you say, because I know what you're like. Right, they have a new manager, obviously, and I don't want any of this slip-up nonsense. You know, we've heard it all, mate. We don't want to do them down. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously, he seems to be off to a good start, Paul. What do you reckon of Villa then at the moment?
I think it's
Gerrard seems to be doing the business. Only a couple of games in, of course, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's one of them. It's that new manager bouncing it, you know, where they've got him in and he's said a few things and blown some smoke up some backsides, no doubt, and, you know, waxed lyrical in his lovely Scouse accent. So, no, I think they've got nothing that they can damage us with. I'm more concerned the fact that they've just got a bit of a bounce because of the new manager, but it should be 3 points. Shouldn't be a problem, to be honest. I don't think they've got anything that can worry us. We've took their stand, haven't we? So.
Yeah, well, that Mr. Target is on target occasionally, but I don't really rate him, Amos. What do you think, mate? Is there anyone there that you're worried about at Villa?
They're a weird team, Villa. Really strange team. Obviously, they needed a change and they turned to Steven Gerrard, and it's probably a decent fit. It was funny, actually, on Match of the Day last night. He had a really good chat with Gary Lineker, and he said, actually, Lineker was saying similar sort of stuff. Oh, you do fantastic start. You're doing so well, blah, blah. And he went, well, just pause a minute. We've got Man City on Wednesday, which sort of shows you the way he's faring. And if I'm being honest, sort of thinking back to his Rangers days, bar a couple of European games against like Bayer Leverkusen or teams like that, and obviously Celtic, I reckon this is probably his biggest game in management, and that isn't sort of missing the mark. I don't think it's going to be a massive test for him, and I'm sure he'll be sort of lulling over it. Whether or not Grealish comes back, I don't know. But if I'm honest, I wouldn't actually mind him sitting it out because it sort of takes the attention off, and whether or not he came off the bench and had an impact like that, but I definitely wouldn't want to see him start. So it's going to be an intriguing affair, I think. And if City can do the sort of sterilisation job that we've seen the last couple of games and just do the business and move the ball and get a couple of goals, then hopefully, like Paul says, 3 points. But again, if Villa took something, then I wouldn't be surprised given the manager bounce they're having.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, are you going down to it, Paul?
No. I struggle with midweek ones anyway, but definitely away ones. I really struggle to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I did gaff. Some guy promised me a ticket, but he let me down. I couldn't. It went well before my points total. So I'm going to watch on Amazon Prime, which I believe it's on, isn't it, guys? Amazon Prime. I do make some use of it for the changes. I hardly ever make any use of it these days. Interesting enough, our last win the last time Villa beat us at Villa Park was in 2013. Quite a long time. Obviously, they've had 2 or 3 seasons out of the first Premier League, of course, but that's a long time back. And I think they got a draw in 2015. So our score prediction, Paul, what do you think? The team, what do you think City team? Do you think there'll be much change from today? Obviously, if we've got people like KDB coming back and Foden and Grealish, obviously we were saying, Amos is saying there, I agree with Amos. I don't think perhaps we should consider Grealish under the circumstances starting this game, but I'd like to see Foden and KDB back if KDB's fit enough. What do you think, Paul?
I can't imagine KDB is going to come into it, to be honest. I mean, because he wasn't tearing any trees up before he got COVID, was he? So, I think it could be. I think these other games that you could bring him back into. Again, Grealish. Again, Amos has got it nailed on there. I think if you've got him on the bench, bring him on depending on how it's going. But to start him from the beginning, I think it could be tough for him. He will get a load of grief, won't he? And stick him on the bench and let's not distract from the performance and make it all about Grealish. I'm not even sure what his injury was, to be honest. I mean, I don't I've not heard much about it, to be honest. So I don't know whether you
probably something to do with his calves,
oh,
isn't it? It's probably something to do with his calves. I don't know.
Have they cut his leg shaving or something? Perhaps that might be it.
Yeah, I mean,
But no,
Amos. Amos, just come to Amos. Obviously, apart from perhaps Stones coming in for Laporte, obviously, I think Gundogan will be relied on again to carry on how he's playing at the moment, which we were sort of relying on him when KDB's not around. We certainly did last season, didn't we? Let's be honest about it. So, would you agree with that, mate? That sort of team, just with perhaps Stones added to it. Any change to that, Amos? Do you think?
Yeah, I reckon there might be a couple, to be honest, just purely because cliche alert, but we are in that busy Christmas period now, and I think this sort of signals the start of it. A midweek Premier League game is the last thing you want, especially when you've just done a full program or near enough a full program of Champions League. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the likes of Zinchenko possibly, maybe even at left back. I know he was playing a bit more advanced in the week. I wouldn't be surprised to see probably Cole Palmer get another start. Whether or not it's the right environment away to Villa, I'm not too sure, but just making sure rotations there and legs are fresh, because then it's a weekend, midweek again in the Champions League, which granted that will be massively rotated, won't it, that one? But again, games are coming. So just don't want to get any more injuries, because like we said at the top, if those injuries start to come back in, then it's going to be a really difficult sort of couple of months going into the new year. So yeah, maybe a few changes, but yeah, just making sure that sort of mentality stays, and you don't want to change it too much that it disappears and the whole team doesn't know what they're doing. But again, you don't want to keep it the same, and then suddenly 10 minutes in, a hamstring pings and we're having to stick Scott Carson up front or something daft like that.
Yeah, well, we've seen it already. We've seen it already, guys, haven't we? That squad today, I say, and what was on the bench. I say, it only takes, certainly in those conditions today. Thankfully, fingers crossed. I think everyone sort of seemed to come out of it okay. The substitute was just a tactical substitute, as far as I can see with that. So that'll be great. We've also got, guys. We'll have a quick chat on Watford. Another new manager for City to cope with. Not quite as successful so far as Ranieri, despite a thumping of that lot across the road. Obviously, last week they did lose to Leicester today. Was it 4-2 today at Leicester City, who have not been any great shakes, to be honest with you. But Paul, I mean, obviously they had the new manager bounce initially, but obviously has it worn out for Watford already? And what do you expect of Watford? Do you think? I don't think they're as bad as the position in the league, particularly even before Ranieri came in, but. Is he sort of team that will worry City, or are we on for another 4 or 5-0, which we've done over? Is it still Vicarage Road? I think it's Vicarage Road.
Yeah.
That we've done in the past. What do you think, Paul? What do you think of Watford that's coming up?
Yeah, I watched some of the highlights of today's game, and they're no great shakes. Again, I just don't see. I don't see them beating us, but they're the sort of team that could frustrate us, and if they can keep it, keep tight to us, close to us, I don't know, 0-0, 1 apiece or something. They're the sort of team that could sort of like nick one, aren't they? So I think we should beat them, but you don't know these days, do you? I mean, it's so. The problem I've got is I've got 2 feet. I've got one foot in one camp and one foot in the new camp, and my old head is sort of saying, typical City. We're winning 4-0 at half time and thinking we're going to get beat 5-4. But then my other head sort of like going, this is a new era. This is different. And we'll conquer all teams ahead of us. But it's still the best Premier League. Well, the best league in the world, purely because anybody on the day can beat anybody, and that's what makes it so watchable, isn't it? But yeah, I don't think they've got anything to worry us, to be honest. And what do they call him? The Tinker Man, they used to call him, didn't they, Ranieri? So I don't think he's going to worry us, to be honest.
And Amos, I know you've got to shoot off, mate. Just very, very quickly, your thoughts on Watford and whether there'll be a problem for us.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Watford, that game today was mental. They looked like they could have maybe scored 5 or 6, but then at the other end looked like they probably could have conceded about 10. So I reckon if we get that sort of Watford, it could be a fruitful day for City. And I think Liverpool put 5 past them or 4 past them or something like that. And like I said before, just making sure we match the results of the other teams will be crucial. But it's under the lights, isn't it? Well, I mean, all games under the lights in December, but I mean, it's the tea time kickoff, isn't it? And those sort of showpiece events, you never know what's going to happen, and I won't be surprised if I don't know. I can see us dropping points in the coming weeks purely just because of the amount of games that are going, and it's so hard to keep it up. And like I said, we seem to cruise past the teams that we think can cause us problems. But then when a Watford away pops up, where a team are in woeful form, it's usually the 1-1 that sort of stumps us or whatever. So yeah, it'll be another interesting game, but hopefully 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can go strong in that one anyway. Whatever players we've got fit for this Watford game, we can go strong because I think we'll see an unusual team. I think the week after back in the Champions League. But we'll call it a day there, guys. We've done very well. Thank you, Amos. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone out there for joining in good company. Slightly depleted numbers and technical faults and you name it, but a bit of snow. You know, the UK grinds to a halt when we get a bit of snow. We all know that anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll just thank the guys here and thank myself for being here. And a great win today anyway. Manchester City 2, West Ham 1. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you'll join us all again next week. Thanks for tuning in and we'll see you all next week. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.